Good day, grade 10 learners. It's Miss Magudulela here. I hope you're good and I hope you have a very productive lesson. Today, our lesson will focus on the types of rocks, namely igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Some of you know what these types of rocks are and some of you don't. I'll jog your memory because you once learned about them. We have three types of rocks, namely igneous rock, sedimentary rock, and metamorphic rock. Right now you're asking yourself, what is igneous rock? What is sedimentary rock? And what is metamorphic rock? Don't worry, my colleagues and I will help you understand by the end of this lesson. You will know what this type of rocks are and its formations. Firstly, we'll focus on the igneous rock. What is an igneous rock? An igneous rock is a rock that has formed from the cooling, solidification, and crystallization of molten lava or magma. Once the molten lava reaches the surface of the earth through volcanic eruption, that's when an igneous rock is formed. Let us look at this picture. When you think of lava or magma, you probably picture this molten material here in the crater of the volcano. Yes, that's exactly what we are talking about, but I want you to keep it in mind that there is a difference between magma and lava, which I'll show you guys here. In this picture, when it's deep inside the earth under the surface, we then find a magma, or we call it a magma. And then once it erupts into the surface, we call it lava. I'll now hand over to my colleague who will explain more deeply about the kind of the rock that I was telling you about.
So thank you, colleague. I'm Mr. Malepa, and I'll be explaining the two types of igneous rocks. So we have intrusive, which is from slide number 6. By intrusive we mean rocks that are formed inside the volcano below the earth surface. You already can imagine that below the earth's surface is very hot, so the cooling down of the rocks or solidifying of the molten magma is very slowly, it occurs very slowly. So by the slow occurrence of the cooling, it allows the rocks to have large crystals. By large crystals, as you can see from the pictures, it can be more than 2 millimeters or centimeters at large due to the slow cooling of the magma. And then we also have intrusive, extrusive rocks. By extrusive rocks, we mean the lava that cools. By extrusive, we mean the cooling down of the lava, which occurs on the earth surface. Since it occurs on the earth surface, it occurs very rapidly. It takes place very fast and can form very fine crystals or no crystals at all. So the examples of the extrusive rocks are basalt and rhyolites, and the example of the intrusive rocks are granites and pegmite. So as you can see by the picture in slide 7, extrusive rocks form on the earth surface and intrusive rocks form below the earth surface. So how can you identify the igneous rocks? So igneous rocks can be fine, as we said in the examples of the extrusive and intrusive rocks. It can be fine, costly, or maybe textured rocks. It can have cracks or fractures. It is also resistant to weathering and erosion. So I'll pass it on to my next colleague to explain sedimentary rocks.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Malepa, and I'm going to carry on from where you left and explain more on the sedimentary rocks. Sedimentary rocks are formed through a process that follows the word WEDCC, which means weathering, erosion, deposition, compaction, and cementation. Weathering is the breaking down of rocks, and whereby they are transported and moved through the process called erosion. And then we move on to the third process, which is deposition. And then deposition is the dropping of loose sediments from the upper surface to the lower surface of the rivers or the seas. And then compaction, which is the squeezing and the addition of pressure. And then we move on to the last process, which is cementation, which is the bonding and gluing of the sediments from the compaction stage, whereby the rocks is then formed at the end. And then the sedimentary rock has three categories, which are namely clastic, chemical, and organic. And then through the clastic process, these rocks are made up from other rock-like materials, which is clay, sand, silt, and sand. And then these following are the examples of the clastic rocks, which is sandstone, shale, and siltstone in conglomerate. And I move on to the second category, which is organic, and these rocks are formed through the precipitation of water. When the water evaporates from the Earth's surface to the atmosphere, what's left behind dries up and becomes a rock. The good example of this category is the rock stone, whereby, as we all know, that the water from the sea is salty, and then when it evaporates, what's left behind is going to form a rock salt. I'm going to pass it over to my colleague, Ms. Nkosi, who's going to explain more on the metamorphic rock.
Thank you, ma'am. I hope you're well. We're going to move on to metamorphic rocks. First of all, before we carry on, you all need to understand what is this word metamorphic. Metamorphic comes from the word metamorphose, which means to change, something that is changing. A metamorphic rock is a result of a transformation of pre-existing rock. So this rock, a metamorphic rock, comes from a rock that was previously there. For example, you and your mother came first, or your parents, to say. Your parents came first to this earth, before you were born. It's the same thing as metamorphic rocks. So basically, we can say in inverted commas, they have what we say parent rocks that they come from, because they come from a transformation of pre-existing rocks. When they come out, they don't usually come out the same as their parent rock, because it's a transformation. Maybe, like an example of you and your parents, some of you guys do not look exactly like your parents. Moving on, how are these rocks created, or made, or transformed? They are transformed through enormous heat and pressure deep in the Earth's crust, which causes the change. First of all, we're going to start off by everyone understanding what I mean by enormous heat and pressure deep in the Earth's crust. So we all know the Earth is a circular ball, and within that circular ball, there are different layers of the Earth's, not atmosphere, but matter. So as you get deeper into the circle, to the center of the Earth's crust, that is where the highest temperatures are. So what it means here with the enormous heat and pressure, it means that there is very high temperatures which get involved into transforming these metamorphic rocks, as well as the pressure. Pressure is when you put pressure onto something. Maybe you got pinched by a door car. That is pressure, for those who don't understand. Moving on, we will do examples of metamorphic rocks. I think we can all see this first one. It is marble rock. It is a marble rock. It is an example of metamorphic rocks. So a marble rock is a non-foliated metamorphic rock that is produced from the metamorphism of limestone or dolostone. So a marble rock, the parent, we can say, of the marble rock is a limestone or a dolostone. So through metamorphism, we have the transformation from a limestone into a marble. I'm sure you have all seen your marble countertops. That is an example of a metamorphic rock. Moving on, we can see this rock picture. We have a few layers in it, different colors, and some are thin, some are thick. We can see also the rocks surrounding it over here. We have brown colors, gray, black, and white. There's also like peachish colors also over there. That type of rock is called a slate. It's also a different type of a metamorphic rock. Excuse me. This slate it's a type of planar a fillet which can form in wavy layers. As we can see, there's different layers, and in some of the pictures it's in a wavy form. It's not always in a straight form, like this one over here, if we can see it. And in the formation of the schist, the temperatures has not been enough so that the temperatures have to be enough so that the individual layers get pressed to the certain, I guess, type of thinness or thickness in order to form this rock. So this particular rock, to simplify everything, is a formation of it comes from different type of rock layers which have been compressed together to form one different rock. And that is it for metamorphic rocks. I hope you all understood the whole topic of today's lesson, which was the different types of rocks. As we are scrolling up, you can see we can have 3 different types of rocks. We just want to do a quick recap. The first one is igneous, the second rock is the sedimentary rocks, and the third one is the metamorphic rocks. And then in igneous rocks, we all know we have 2 types of rocks: intrusive, which is made from matters inside of, maybe we can say, the Earth's surface, and we have intrusive. Yes, intrusive are these rocks. And then we have extrusive. Extrusive rocks are made from matter outside on the Earth's atmosphere. Moving on, we have sedimentary rocks, and there are 3 different types. We have the clastic sedimentary rock, organic sedimentary rocks. In the organic, there are 2 different types, which is coal and peat, and we have limestone. Then last but not least, we have chemical precipitates, which fall under the sedimentary rocks. And then lastly, we have metamorphic rocks. And that is it for our lesson, grade 10s. We hope you had an informative lesson and you learned valuable information, and would like to thank you for your time. Good night, goodbye, good morning. Enjoy the rest of your day. Thank you.